All right, the right fits. We are back here. We got to talk about something, probably the most important thing I have ever talked to you guys about, and most people know what it is if you're really in tune with the zeitgeist. Okay, if you're really in tune with government cover-ups, conspiracies, if you really know where government, we have all these black budget programs, right? If you actually in tune and know where that stuff's going, you've heard people like David Grush, David Fravor, both of them. They testified with another guy. I'm blanking on his name. Another intelligence agency guy, Air Force guy. If you've heard of Dr. Greer, he's a great one too. You're not sure who to listen to on this crazy subject, but the most important subject of our time probably, which is UFOs and aliens, which I'm just going to come right out now and say I was never a believer I was always a believer in aliens. I always knew aliens existed. It's a fact of mathematics, actually, with how large the universe is, with how it's infinite in what we can see, and our observation says it's infinite, and we know it's also expanding. So we have infinite expansion, which means there's an infinite amount of chances for life to come about. Therefore, there has to be life, right? It's the same thing as monkeys typing Shakespeare, if you've ever heard that logical metaphor. But so aliens, UFOs, have they been here? That's the question. And I was always very skeptical. I was always one of those mainstream people who thought, well, you know what? They're out there somewhere, but it's very unlikely that they would actually be able to come here, with just the vast distances, with the speed limit of the speed of light, which I don't know if that's actually a true speed limit. Actually, it's not a speed limit. Einstein says it's not a speed limit. It's in relativity that it's not a speed limit, but only particles can move as fast as light. But gravity can expand quicker than light. So that would be very important for things like anti-gravity drives, which we think alien craft have. And so let me try to just kind of boil down into what now I'm finding out about aliens, about UFOs, about the history. The history is very important, and how deep it really goes, because there's so many interesting topics in this field that are really there's government cover-ups. I mean, one of the big ones is crop circles, and a great guy I want to shout out is the Y-Files. He does a great video on crop circles, and the government covers up crop circles. Okay, why would the government cover up crop circles? And crop circles do have, and this just sounds so crazy to the normal ear, but they are communication from, or there's some sort of messaging, there's some sort of imprinting from another sort of intelligence. That's all that is for sure known. And the science behind this is crazy, because you think, it's just a bunch of hoaxers who have made crop circles. Well, for one, there's videos of crop circles being made by what we would call almost like ball lightning. And then there's physical differences to the stalks that are created by people, and then the real crop circles. There's actual atypical noting that occurs in the plants that can't be faked. And then also you have to crush and lay down when people physically make them. But when real crop circles are made, they are actually woven and made in a way where they're not squished down and broken, they'll pop right back up after a couple days, and the plants will keep living. And so you have crop circles, which is just and there's one crop circle in particular where SETI sent up a message in a particular way. SETI literally sent a message, and I have to think of what this is called. I'm blanking on it. I should have remembered it for this video, but it's called the something message. And it has to do with the observatory that we sent it out from, or it has to do with the person who sent it out. And then this is obviously can't be confirmed, but a crop circle was actually sent back to Earth later in the same representation that message was sent out. And so you just think, like, how does that happen? I don't even know. I don't even know what a conventional explanation for a real crop circle would be. I'd love to hear somebody say, other than if you're just gonna say in the definitely comment below. But if you're just gonna say it's a hoax, I mean, I obviously I know people's opinions that a lot of them are hoax, but if you have a real way they could be made by something that's not like of extraterrestrial intelligence, maybe ball lightning could do it somehow, like I was talking about. But this did not behave exactly like ball lightning. That was a little bit of difference. It was 3 balls that were it's on YouTube. You can look up the video. So crop circles, all right, that's one thing. And then we got to talk about, David Grush and the UFO hearing and him claiming that we have multiple down craft, okay? Multiple down craft that we've collected over time. And he says this goes back even before Roswell. This goes back into like World War II times. I think Roswell was like late 40s, and he says this goes back to even earlier than that. He says it goes back to the Vatican when they got the first UFO in modern times in Italy somewhere, and U.S. intelligence got it from the Vatican, and that's how these stories go. And then the Roswell thing, right? You could just say, well, these are all fake, and that's what I used to say. And the crop circle thing I never knew about, and I don't think I think crop circles are actually one of the hardest things to explain from a UFO perspective, or an extraterrestrial intelligence out there, because if you would think it'd be easier to beam information someplace long distance than it would be to actually send a craft. So it would make sense that aliens would communicate like that a lot more than actual sending crafts. But we have a lot of the evidence of the crafts now, and this is what people like David Grush claim. It goes all the way back to Roswell, Roswell was a cover-up. And in this, a lot of the abductions I do think are bullshit, just because there's obviously some of the abductions, if aliens have been here, some of them must be interested in human biology, and I'm sure some abductions have been real. And again, the Y-Files is a great place to go to find some cases that do sound convincing. That's another field where it's very hard to find actual convincing evidence of people who have really been abducted. But downcraft, not too hard to find. I mean, just to understand how black programs work in our government, when the CIA has stuff that they don't want to tell us that they're doing, right? Like retrieving craft from whatever country, like Virginia, Brazil. This is a classic incident in Virginia, Brazil, where our government went and took some down aliens there. There's another one, the Aerial School in Zimbabwe, where 300 kids saw an alien craft come down land, and multiple aliens come out, and you have 300 kids saying the same thing, and they're kids. You can tell they're not lying. It would be impossible to get 300 kids to corroborate something like this and not have them lie about it. So there's definitely evidence that there's been craft that have come here, okay, and so now you think about the down craft, right? Um, if they've been here, if they have been come here for so long, it's obviously hard to believe what we like shot one down, right? Because our technology would be so much worse than theirs. But perhaps we have like targeted EMPs that may have knocked one down. We just don't know. What it could have been an accidental crash by these by the extraterrestrial crafts, but we don't know. um but there have been credible incidents, right, where I just named two of them off the top of my head that we know craft have come down. Now, the ones that we've actually captured craft, I can't give you specifics about that, but Roswell would be one, right, where there were down craft, and supposedly we got a body with that. Virginia actually was a down craft too, and we got the craft in the aerial school. The incident they lifted back up, but there's plenty of these incidents online that go documentary style through the actual witnesses, and are very clear that these people really believe what they saw. And it's I think it's pretty obvious, like, and then you have whistleblowers coming through, right? So you have people, how am I blanking on this guy's name from Joe Rogan, the guy Bob Lazar, who said he worked at Area 51 and he worked on craft. And so now David Grush is coming out 40 years later and essentially confirming that those programs did exist. And so you really, there's a lot of circumstantial stuff that's coming out, to the point where there's a lot of congressmen who are now asking these questions and can't get into these black budget programs. They don't, even though they're congressmen, they don't have security clearance to do this stuff, which is crazy. I mean, that's how much of a non-democracy we live in, right? When our own elected officials, who should be able to see this stuff, can't. Presidents can't sometimes. A lot of times they can't get everything they want to see. I heard Bill Clinton wasn't able to even get any of the files that he wanted to see. You got these whistleblowers who are now coming forward and confirming that from the government and outside the government that this stuff's actually true. And the question now is, what are the implications, right? The technological implications are, well, we have down craft, right? And maybe we can back engineer them. And people have said, oh, that's how we've made a lot of our technological advances, by back engineering these craft. I do not agree with that, because our planes have consistently gone in a linear development of how we can see, from the Wright brothers, right, to spaceships, to how they were the F-22. We could see how they're developed with modern technology. But what I think is we can't figure out these the down craft that we have for whatever reason. I think it's just too far beyond our technology. If you ever seen the movie Alien, and you're trying to see how they're in the alien craft, and they just have no idea how to work it, not at all. And I think that will be something like what we would have if we had down craft. So I think that's why we're not able to actually reproduce anything with it. Now, David Grush actually says a lot of the UFOs people see are black budget programs that have actually reverse design these crafts, and they're actually human-made UFOs, which that's a very interesting theory, but I still think the more definite stuff is that UFOs have definitely been here, and that's the bottom line, is UFOs have definitely been here, you know what I mean? Extraterrestrials have definitely, I want to say, even communicating with us. I mean, even in astronomy class, I learned about the WOW signal. Everyone should learn about the WOW signal. It's the first what we think of as some extraterrestrial signal that's coming to Earth. That's the first one that we have. And it's the information's just growing. It really is. The information's just growing, and I think aliens for sure. So if they've for sure been here, what are the implications of that? Okay, so going back to science, right? Like von Neumann bots. I'm sure you guys know who John von Neumann is, but John von Neumann thought of, if I was an extraterrestrial species, how would I actually travel to these other places? Well, you create crafts, right, that can go to these other planets and then recreate more of themselves. He called them von Neumann bots or whatever. So then they'd multiply, go to these other planets, and then multiply out and keep going. And if we just think of it, and I don't know if you've ever heard of a Dyson sphere, right? There's different levels of how big civilizations get. Well, a Dyson sphere would be controlling the whole sun. You build a ring around the sun and absorb the energy of the sun. And that's like a type 2 civilization. We're not even close to that. Or a type 1 civilization. I forget. We're like not even a type 0 or something like that. But I think the craziest implication is, could aliens just show up? I mean, they really could. That's the thing. Aliens really could just show up at any time, and we would have, I mean, oh my God. It's almost like the Ronald Reagan quote. You ever heard the Ronald Reagan quote where he's kind of ominously like, well, if only we had a UFO attack, the whole world would join together in peace against this one enemy. It's like, well, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And, yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy, the UFO. Keep tuned with the UFO stuff. There's so much UFO, and I haven't even gotten into Antarctica yet. We don't even know what's down in Antarctica. There might be alien bases in Antarctica. What they do, there's a black spot over Antarctica that you can't fly, and there's been some whistleblowers, man, that have said some shit, and there's been a lot of whistleblowers who have died. You know, the CIA has no problem killing Americans, right? We know that. They'll kill Americans anytime there's secrets that they don't want out, and this is a big secret that for whatever reason they've deemed is so important, right? That David Grush even said in Congress that people have died, not only at the hands of the aliens. I'm guessing that's more by accident. Hopefully they're more but if there's different races of aliens, I'm sure some are more aggressive than others. And then he said plenty of people have been killed by our own government to cover this stuff up. So, you know, hopefully, just so you guys know, hopefully I don't get killed for this. But put notes down. Tell me what you guys think. Leave messages. Let me know. Aliens, I know you all believe in them, but how long have they been here for? You tell me.